I'll always be like a low end person. Like selling $1,000 card, it doesn't do it for me. I feel like that's like a different type of person, different type of persona. Like I want to live like 20 and under. Like I like those people. Risk wise, it's pretty much no risk. Like it's kind of like recession proof also. Someone's always going to have $1 to buy a card that they want, where someone might not always have $1,000 to buy like some Kaboom or case hit or something like that, right? Those type of collectors that collect low end things, or team collectors, like I don't know, that's my tribe. Those are my people.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 1,000 Card Project podcast. Super excited today. I have Chris Bing with me, all set 24 on TikTok and Twitter and probably every other social media platform there is. But really appreciate all of you that have reached out and all the great feedback about the show. And I know I had the hiccup there where I had to move handles on YouTube and TikTok and all that, but it's all up and going. So appreciate that. You guys sticking around and following me there. But yeah, man, I'm super excited about this one. So I started TikTok about a month ago. I was talking to Chris a little bit off camera about this, and Chris was one of the first people that popped up on the feed, and I just kind of started watching his content and really identified with his entrepreneurial spirit, really identified with him constantly tweaking and trying different strategies, and excited about him to come on and share those strategies with everybody, and just appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Chris, at what point, everybody's got the hobby journey. Most people's is the same, right? They get back into it during where they, maybe they never left it or things along those lines. But at what point did you say, look, I'm going to take this and make this more of a business, that I really want to take that part of it serious?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, it all dates back to like my collecting. So my brother got me into collecting back in the day. I feel like as most people, you get to like high school, you kind of fall out of it. And then he's older. So I was in college and he reached back out to me like, hey, like you got to get back into cards. I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, like they have like game used patches now and autos and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, actually that sounds awesome, but I'm like a broke college kid. I don't have any money, So, what I used to do back in the day, I was big on like, sports card forum, which was SCF and blowout cards. And that's really like where a lot of transacting happened. And for me personally, like I would go on and like buy like game used and auto lots, like cheap low end stuff. And I would just trade them for like Buffalo Bills, right? Like at that point in my journey, I was a Bills team collector. And essentially, like I was trying to figure out a way to make the hobby work for me because I didn't have any money. And so I was just trying to figure out like different ways, to fund this new hobby, right? And it really starts with my brother. My brother, like when I would go to card shows with him, like we used to just sift through like dime boxes like crazy. And we used to just pull out like anything numbered, right? Didn't matter what it was, anything numbered. It was like, this is definitely worth more than 10 cents. This is back in like 2010, 2012-ish. Hobby wasn't necessarily booming then. There was like not that many people at card shows. All the card show dealers had like dime boxes, which nowadays I feel like those don't really exist anymore. Different parts of the country, definitely. Like I know the Midwest still has like a lot of like, quarter boxes, dime boxes, 50-cent boxes. I'm over in New Jersey, New York area. There's not many. Like a lot of times people just throw out $1 box and like any card in there is $1. And it's like, well, there's a lot of these aren't even worth $1,
Right.
But yeah, so back then it was just pull out anything numbered, which kind of involved into anything refractor as well, maybe some good rookies and stuff like that. And we would just create these like huge long lists. We would type everything out and we listed on like blowout cards and sports card forum, and everything was 50 cents. Right. And we like separate it by team sometimes or have it alphabetically. And sometimes like the different ways you separated it attracted different buyers. So if you had it broken out by team, you would have somebody come in and be like, hey, I'll take all the Eagles. And it was like, wow, this is great. Somebody took like 20 Eagles numbered cards. Like that's like $10. You're going to pay shipping. Like this is awesome. Like I'm in, nothing at this point. And then me being a player collector at this time was like, man, like sometimes I don't like going through and people separated by team. Like, let me just remove the teams, sort it alphabetically. And even if it's the same cards and nothing's been updated, let's see if anything changes, So we would do that. And then all of a sudden people would come through and just like cherry pick by name. ton of different people. And I was like, wow, this is like awesome, you know? And it's like, all right, I have $20. So now I can go spend that on Stevie Johnson, right? He was a Buffalo Bills receiver, played at University of Kentucky. He's like my personal collection. That's who I collect. So then I would just like go and redo that. And then over time, it was kind of like, oh, wow, like I could actually make a few dollars here doing some stuff and flipping some of these cards. And it was helping me pay like my student loans at the time. And it was all just off like low value stuff. And the reason I started in low value cards, one was like the players I PC'd were in those boxes, right? So it was like I need to be in there to find these cards anyway. And then as I'm in there, it's like, oh wow, this is definitely worth more than a dime. Like this is $1 card, this is a $3 card, this is a $5 card. All right, awesome. So I'll just start pulling these out, you know, instead of just digging all day and being like, hey, I found 2 cards from my collection. I spent 10 hours, you know. So if I'm already in there, that's the way I was gonna do it. And then also like I didn't have to have much capital, right, to start, and there's pretty much no risk. And the margins from a percentage standpoint are amazing, right?
Right.
You could 5, 10x, 20x your investment pretty easily within low end cards. Obviously, like the volume and the actual revenue number isn't that big, but if you're able to grow it and do it at a consistent basis, those numbers just continue to stack and stack and stack and stack.
Yeah, I think that everybody goes through that journey, right? Whether or not it's their personal player or they just start in the dollar boxes. And what I found in my time with this is that I don't think it's ever that you fully graduate to the next level. I think the idea really is to refine that process, continue to do it, let that continue to fund some of the higher level cards, and then, gradually build up, your bankroll and do some of the other, but look at it more as like a stock portfolio and have a percentage of each areas. But
Yeah.
what would you say is your overall strategy now? This is not your full-time job. You got a great full-time job, but this is a business for you. You're intentional about it. What's the kind of the overall strategy as it sits today?
Yeah, so the overall strategy and goal is still it's kind of lofty, I guess. So I want to be the super collector of Stevie Johnson, right? Meaning I want to own every unique copy of a card there is. I don't want 30, tops base of the same image, but I would like to have, every rainbow basically of every one of his cards. And I think, it's somewhat feasible because he only has like 1,300, I think, total like unique cards. But it's like obviously super tough when you get to like the one-on-ones and like things that might not even be out there in somebody else's collection because he is a huge, niche in Buffalo. So that's ultimately my goal. And I'm married. I have 2 kids, so like I don't have the disposable income I don't want to have to go to my wife and be like, hey, this one-on-one popped up on eBay. Like, is it cool if I take like $400 from, like our personal fund to go buy this card? I don't want to have those conversations. So I just try to have the hobby work for me so I could go ahead and buy those cards as they do come up. But also, it is nice having a little extra income on the side as well. So I love doing it. I love being able to now I've expanded and pretty much sell solely on eBay, a little bit on Collects as well. But those are like the 2 big platforms I sell on just because it kind of fits my lifestyle. eBay, like you kind of could work on it whenever you want to work on it, right? Like upload and list your cards and listings whenever you're free. And eBay does the job in terms of like selling the cards for you, right? So I know people are always like, oh, eBay fees and this and that, but it's like if you don't use eBay, then you actively have to be trying to find a buyer for your cards, right? Like how many times are you going to post it on either one of the forums or, TikTok or Twitter or Discord, and you're really trying to like hope to catch that buyer in that moment and get ready and have them be ready to purchase as well, right? Or it's like I could just list it and then I could go to sleep and then I could wake up and have 10 orders overnight, right?
Pay rent and try to have a shop or something like that.
Yes, yeah,
The people
yeah,
are. I agree with you. I think it's a silly argument about the fees, and for such a great platform and Collects. I do quite a bit of work with Collects as well, and
nice.
I think it's a fantastic platform also. But would you say most of what you sell is singles at this point? Is it $1 to $5, $5 to $20? What kind of percentage of each?
Yeah, I think it's changed over time. So when I was really active and getting to card shows, multiple times a weekend, right? I'm in the value boxes. I'm cherry picking stuff that was all like $5 and above. And that was definitely a bulk of my sales on eBay. Since then, I've had two young kids, so it's very tough for me to get to shows frequently, or at least at a consistent basis. So now I just buy like a ton of lots online, in my opinion, to get like your price per card as cheap as possible. And then from there, I just started like bulk listing using like a feed scanner and Card Dealer Pro to really just make that process like as smooth as possible. And what I've learned from that is a lot of other cards that I normally wouldn't have listed by hand ultimately sell, right? Like, so you'll see like on like my sales videos and stuff, there's like base cards that sell, there's junk wax that sells, right? And like, you always have people comment like, is this worth your time? Like yada, 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 right? And it's like, well, that's not like, my goal isn't to just sell the junk wax cards for, you know, $1.75 or $2 or whatever, right? Like that's just all stuff I've gotten in from these bigger bulk lots where what else am I going to do with it? Am I going to throw it out? No. Am I just going to keep it in a different box and then it's just nothing for me, right? So I might as well just list it. It takes 2 seconds. When you use like, when you have the right inventory process set up and the different processes and technology that you could use nowadays, it doesn't take a lot of time to do. So you might as well just list it, and then you'll have somebody, you know, every now and again come in and, you know, they might take a higher dollar card, but then also take like 3 or 4 super low dollar cards, right? And that's where ultimately it's successful and efficient.
I think one of the things you said there that I think is the key to that is really having your systems and your processes in place, whether that's, you know, tools like Card Dealer Pro or an auto feed scanner or a SKU system, a thermal printer, all these different things. Like, what has been the best? What system or process has made the best or the most impact on your business?
Oh man, I think for everybody, like as long as you sell more than like 2 cards a day, you need a thermal printer. Like that is just the worst. Like I held out for so long before getting the thermal printer. You know, I was either like writing it by hand and putting stamps on or cutting out the pieces of paper and taping it. And it's just such a waste of time. And I hated it. And then like I found a thermal label printer and I was like, and it was like $60. And I was like, this is easily the biggest time save I've ever had in my life. So definitely that. Other than that, I mean, if you're looking to like get serious in terms of like bulk listings and whatnot, and really like expanding your eBay store, then I definitely think it's worth it investing in a scanner and using like a platform like Card Dealer Pro. Like it's just, you could list 50 to 100 cards in minutes, you know? It all depends on what they are, obviously. Like if it's base, minutes. If it's like parallels, obviously it's going to take a little bit longer because the AI is not 100% accurate. So you have to go through and check and make sure that, you know, you're listing the right card. But at the end of the day, it's so much faster than I was doing it previously on my phone, right? And even like the images are better. It's not me just like holding it and you see my fingers, you know, like that type of stuff. So yeah, it definitely, it goes hand in hand. I'm not sure which one is the better process or anything, but I would say probably thermal label for everybody is more meaningful.
Yeah, I think the thing that most of those people that are complaining about, you know, you made 50 cents or you made 75 cents or whatever, they're not
Yeah.
realizing that you're developing, you know, when you have the systems and processes in place, it takes a minute to get those things out, you know. But also, I mean, you're refining you're refining your knowledge base. You know, when you're in those dollar boxes or when you're in those, you know, those card shows, the opportunity, and you legitimately have a good idea what'll sell for what. If I can give you $2 and 5 days later I get back $4, so that's a win, you
Yeah.
know, and that's a skill that compounds over time. Watching your content, there's been a couple strategies that I thought were very unique and I thought were creative and outside the box, and I hadn't seen other places. One of those was you mentioned buying these refractor parallel lots, and you've been kind of bulking those up into bulk boxes on eBay and selling those. Talk about a little bit of that, like the economics of that. Like, you're aiming for a certain cost of goods. You're putting it together in a certain package that's worth X, and you're winning with X number of dollars. Like, how's that all look and that strategy kind of play out for you?
Yeah, for sure. So over time of just being active in the hobby, I've been fortunate enough to make a few different relationships with bigger bulk suppliers. I guess I should say that people that like go around, buy huge collections, go to card shops, buy out like, you know, their low value stuff, or maybe some of their mid, but also get their low. And a lot of times those different bulk suppliers are looking to get rid of, their super low end stuff, even though it still is good. It's just they don't have enough time to do it, or they just want to get a lot of their investment back from their bigger buys, right? So I've been fortunate enough to start working with some of these people over the time, just that I've met online for the most part. And so now I have some of these lined up where, like I mentioned earlier, I don't really get to go to shows as much anymore. So a lot of times I just like buy online or buy through some of these people, right? So as a buyer of these things, I want to be sure that I'm able to move these as quick as possible to get my investment back. And then also I want to be the best buyer I can for these people, because I want them to continue to come to me first, right? Like, oh, Chris is always ready to buy. I don't want them to go buy out a collection and then sell it to me, and then 2 days later ask me if I need more and I have to say no. Right. So really, I think like the bigger lots that I started selling, I think you've seen maybe on TikTok and whatnot, of like 500 refractors of like, MLB or NFL for like $200 shipped. Right. Those are normally cards that I would list like on my eBay store individually, or make like different like dollar box type stuff out of. And I can talk about that in a second also. But where I came up with the idea on TikTok, it was like I had so much inventory at this point because one of my suppliers bought out like two different like bigger guys, and like I had so much inventory. I was like, oh my God, like I don't want to like just sit on this. Let me see if I could just move it quicker to somebody else, leave enough meat on the bone, quote unquote, for them to move it either individually online or at a card show and set up for a dollar box, like that type of stuff. I was like, let me just see if this works, right? Because if it is, then I don't have to list any of it. I could ship it all once in, a medium flat rate box. It just goes, it would just be super quick, right? So let me see if it works. So I posted it on TikTok, and like one person claimed it right away. And like over time, like now there's like 10 or 15 people that have reached out to me like, hey, do you have any more of these? Do you have any more of these? Like, I'm interested. And I think a lot of those buyers are like whatnot streamers, because I think like the color, like the low end color, like does pretty well if that's like your niche on whatnot, right? The other avenue I started doing also with my brother was kind of figuring out how to like sell pre-arranged, pre-made dollar boxes almost, or like value boxes. Once again, like I'm a big single seller on eBay. I love it. My full-time job changed a little bit where like I had to go back to the office more than I'd had previously. So I was like trying to figure out ways to be a little bit more efficient. And then my brother was like, hey, like what if we sell these like larger lots, like whatever, blah, 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 these pre-made things. And I was like, yeah, let's try it. Right. So like he tried it first and he's like, hey, this sold like instantly. And I was like, get out of here. So then I started taking these, a lot of it's like low end color or like low end autos and like low end patches and that type of stuff, or, base rookies of stars. And, we just like put them in like top loaders or card savers, package them up real nice, post it on eBay. And there's people like nonstop buying that stuff. So I thought that was great. So I was like, oh, okay. So like I could still use eBay as my platform. So it gets some where I'm not actively going, trying to find a buyer, and I'm able to move some of these bigger lots that are more efficient and my profit is better. And I don't have to wait for some of these to sit. Right. So I was able to kind of continue to move these larger lots. So that's like where I've been going. And I really enjoy that part of it. I also still list and sell a ton of singles. I feel like that for me is kind of like the thing that's always on, right? So like you'll always get like those increments coming in through eBay of like different payouts and whatnot, right? Like that's steady. Lots I feel like have kind of been, it depends on how often you're also getting these cards and whatnot too. So it's been super fun. Yeah.
So that dollar back strategy, I think, is brilliant as well. What's the aim there in terms of a price per card, and then how many cards are you throwing in that dollar box?
For sure. Yeah. So honestly, what I'm buying, so I'll buy like low end patches and autos as well. So like I'll put like a buying post on Twitter, like, hey, looking for like your junk game used in autos, right? Like looking for quantity over quality. And I'm usually able to get like the autos and patches for like 50 cents or less a pop, depends on how many people have. And then the stuff for the dollar boxes, on average, it comes out to between like 10 cents and 20 cents a card. Depends on like who you sourced it from for the most part. But like from like one of my bigger suppliers, like I'm usually able to get it around like a dime a pop. Yeah. So like if it's going in one of the like eBay lots where like I'm sleeving it in like a card saver or in a card saver or a top loader, like your cost of goods goes up a little bit. But yeah, otherwise, if I'm selling it on TikTok, I could sell it loose without, putting them all on top loaders and whatnot. So I could sell it at a little bit better price, and then also no fees as well.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the other strategies that you just recently put out there was branding a new store and really tailoring it to a specific niche or specific location. In this instance, it was Chicago. And that's actually originally how I thought about attacking this thing too. I was going to go like I wanted to be the quarterback guy. Like I wanted to be just,
Yeah.
list was only quarterbacks
Yep.
because I felt like that was a market that everybody was looking for. You can go backwards and favorite players and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought that this strategy was really, really cool about how you decided to take a certain location and put that in place. And I think you're only a couple days into it, at
Yeah.
this point. But talk a little bit about the mindset behind that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, like I mentioned, like cards are just always on top of my mind and like trying to expand like the business side of it. And, like I work in marketing and branding and whatnot. And I have some of these ideas sometimes that like cannot, the bigger brands that we work with might not necessarily want to use or they can't like legally or like whatever, right? So part of like why I sell cards like as a quote unquote like business as well is like it feeds like my entrepreneurial side and like bucket of my life as well, which means like I could go around and test things, right? So it's been something I've been thinking about and bouncing ideas off of people for like months. And it was really to, if you could, the idea is, can you successfully like brand an eBay store, right? In the sports card niche. I feel like a lot of times people are just like everything sellers, right? Me personally, my main eBay store, it's everything. It's football, it's basketball, it's baseball, there's some Pokemon on there, like it's literally everything. It doesn't specialize in anything. My name is just all set 24 because that's like what I've always had on all my different profiles. But like people, if they go to your store, or does my store hold any value to them in terms of like, oh, like let's see what he listed today? No, it's probably not gonna happen, right? It's gonna be like, hey, I need a Caleb Williams, so I'm just gonna search on eBay for Caleb Williams, and then I'm just gonna find one I like and buy it, right? So my goal with this was, or my thought, I guess, with this was, can I have somewhat of a niche and specialize in something where I'll have like a brand name that one people might remember, but also it'll speak to everything I sell. And then can it also create almost like a browsing experience of like, oh, hey, like he sells only Chicago stuff. I'm a huge Chicago everything fan. Right. While I'm in here for Caleb Williams, I see that, he also has 2,000 different Cubs. So let me click on the Cubs part of the store category and just start browsing, right? And then sooner or later, they might just add different things. And it's really all just like complementary listings or complementary goods, right? Like the whole idea of like building a basket for a retailer, or having some of the other bigger brands, obviously, who don't sell sports cards. Like let's take, Colgate, right? Or like a toothpaste. Like, okay, they sell toothpaste, you know them as a toothpaste, but like while you're here, they also sell toothbrushes and mouthwash and, dental floss and stuff like that, right? Like, so you might have came in there for a $2 thing of toothpaste, but now you're leaving with giving them specifically $10. Right. So yeah, I'm only 5 days in. I just posted a day 5 update. I've had 4 orders already, and 2 of them have been more than one card. So that's like kind of how I'm, I guess, qualifying or if this is going to be a success or not. Like how often can I get like repeat purchasers? Are my average cards per order higher than my normal eBay store where I sell, I have like 25,000 singles listings, right? So far in the Chicago store, Chicago Card Corner, by the way, that's the name of it if you guys are fans, and want to check it out. The Chicago store, I only have, I think, like 300 Chicago Cubs listed and like 200 Chicago Bears, and everything is like low end. I don't think anything's over $10 right now. I haven't promoted any of my listings yet. I just got my business cards actually in the mail, like right before I got on this call with you.
Yes.
What it looks like. Yeah. So, try to give the whole Chicago feel. And I didn't want to do just one team. I thought that was too specific. And I thought like then you're riding too many highs and too many lows. If a team's like rebuilding or in the off season of that sport, I really liked the idea of going with Chicago. Midwest has a huge, card collecting following. Chicago has so many different iconic teams and teams in every major sport. Right. So that kind of checked all the boxes. Originally, I was thinking, to do something about New York because I'm so close to New York and like I know it very well. But ultimately, like New York has way too many teams. And I think like the collecting or there's more collectors in the Midwest than there is in like the New York, New Jersey area. Not saying that there's not in New York, New Jersey, but everywhere out in the Midwest is just crazy with it. So yeah, that's ultimately how I decided on that.
Yeah, I think it was a great idea. And I think, again, I think it's a good example of somebody that works in the business world is works in a marketing mindset and just looking at a different industry and saying, okay, well, like here's some things that you can take inspiration from and apply it to this, this niche that maybe doesn't have hasn't fully vetted out or developed across the board. And I thought it was a brilliant strategy. One of the, well, I guess before I get to the content side of things, one quick question is, how do obviously being in the New York area where real estate is expensive, right? You got 2 young kids, you got a wife, like how do you prevent the card room, the storage, all that stuff? How do you prevent that from kind of taking over the house?
Man, yeah, that's definitely a topic that's like high on a priority for us. So if you see some of my videos, I usually take like a picture, like a video in front of what I have. So I just have like a wire rack. It's like 1, 2. I'm looking at it now. 3, 4, 5. It's like 6 levels, and then I just have a bunch of like 5,000 count like white monster boxes. So that honestly, like any other niche or product that you sell, if you have 25,000 of it, you probably need like a warehouse, right? Like this is not actually taking up that much room, which is nice in my office. But I think like as I continue to grow, like I'm going to need a second one of them probably pretty soon. But yeah, they're all pretty much just stored in there. And then like my personal collection, I'm an old school guy. I like the binder route. I hate graded cards. So I just like, I put everything in binders and I love looking through it. I like seeing like, the different rainbows of every card next to each other. It's super organized by like year. So yeah, that's like pretty much how I end up storing my cards.
That's great. That's great. I'm a binder guy too. I'm right there with.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of people that are binder people, especially on Twitter.
Yeah, it's just an easier way to look through things, like you said, I think,
Yeah.
but well, I mentioned the content piece, and I think, probably equally as passionate about the cards as you are maybe to producing the content, and documenting the journey. And what's a reason why that was important to you to kind of do from the beginning, and how has that maybe helped your business as a whole?
Yeah, for sure. By the content side of things, I'm pretty much on Twitter and TikTok. TikTok's super recent. I was never even a user of TikTok before a couple months ago when I decided to make one. I was telling you earlier, I was going to make one like even a couple months before that, but then then they actually like did shut down TikTok for a little bit. So I was like, thank God I didn't do that. But I'm real active in like the Twitter space of the hobby. In my opinion, it's the best space. A lot of like really awesome collectors. People have like really awesome ideas, and like people are like real friendly on there. Like they'll send you like free cards of people that they know that like you collect, which is awesome. They'll tag you and stuff if they see a card that of a player you collect. Like everyone's like really looking out for each other for the most part, I think. So I was pretty active on there. I used to run like during COVID. I used to run like what they call stack sales, which is like super manual. You'd take a picture, you'd post it online, and be like, every card here's $1, like whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then you would like have to manually like on your spreadsheet, like, hey, this Twitter handle bought XYZ, and then you have to like chase them down for money. You know what I mean? Like it was like so crazy, but it was so much fun, just like a ton of work and whatnot. But so that's why I started getting a little bit of a following there, and like everyone's super friendly. Like everyone follows each other back and everything. Like it's not as like it's way less of like your follower count. I feel like is like your friends and like your community. But then yeah, like watching and consuming other content, a lot of like content creators are like, if you're active in a niche or a hobby or like whatever, or you're consuming content about something, but you're actively participating in it, like just turn on the camera and just record what you're doing, right? Like either if it's take a picture, hey, you got cards in the mail today, take a picture of it and just post it on Twitter, right? Hey, you have an idea of like a business thing, or you're just curious how other people collect, like just record yourself real quick and upload it. And that was something that like was super intimidating for me. Like I hate public speaking. I don't like hearing myself speak. I don't like looking at myself on camera, like that type of thing. But over these last, like month and a half, I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like I'm just gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, let's see where this thing goes. Like, I'm passionate about it. I like it. I feel like I might have some good ideas that might help somebody else. And now all of a sudden, like, people are like coming to me asking me questions. And I'm always like trying to preface it like, hey, like, I'm not necessarily an expert. I just like post about it. This is what worked for me. Like, if you have questions about this stuff, I try to be able to help everybody I can, especially if it's something that I already had to deal with. So like for the one that came top of mind right now is like somebody was asking me yesterday about like how to set up their scanner for their auto feed stuff. Like, hey, did you have to take the rollers out? Like, I didn't see that in the video. I was like, oh, hey, like I found a video about this previously. That's how I did it. Like, this is some things that I did to help, remove the lines or whatever. Right. Which I think is super valuable because like when you're doing it like on your own, a lot of times, like if you have a specific question, the video you might watch like might not answer that question, right? So like if you have somebody that you could come to with questions and hopefully they're able to give you a response or a good response, I think that's super valuable. So I just tried to, make content about it, make quick videos of it, and I think TikTok was a great place for it. And so I just started, posting random things like on eBay, right? Like my first couple of videos were just like, hey, this is how you create buyer groups. This is why I send out, newsletters. And like, oh, this is how you send out a newsletter. How do you send out a coupon? Hey, here's a quick video and tutorial on how to do those things, right? Like things that are super simple, but a lot of times people are still searching for because like they can't figure it out. Or sometimes eBay hides things. Like with this new store, the Chicago store, it took me like 40 minutes. I couldn't figure out how to link my bank to it so I could become a seller. So like I had to like create a new account, a new eBay account, and then like only sets you up as a buyer, and then like you aren't set up to like you can't sign up for a store until you link your bank account, but there's no option to link your bank account until you go to list your first item. So you have to go through the process of actually listing an item, and then before it goes live, it goes, oh, hey, input your bank account information. And then after you do that, then you could sign up for a store. So I had no idea about that. So I was like online Googling it, I was trying to find, I was like, I can't figure this out. Like, why can't I sign up for a store? I'm trying to give them money, you know? And then finally, someone was like, oh, you have to, like actually go through with listing a card first before you could sign up for a store. And I was like, okay, thank you. Yeah. So that might be my next video on TikTok.
Yeah, that's a good. Well, I think I think people in a court of law, it says like a content expert is just somebody that knows more than everybody else in the room, in that current room. And so that people are always on, like you're always going to be a little bit ahead of other people and you're always going to be a little bit behind other people. And I think what you said about community, that's what's really cool about the hobby in general is that people that wouldn't normally talk and jump on a call, even things like this, like it happens, my wife thinks it's the craziest thing in the world. She's
Right.
like, oh, you're
Yeah.
listening, like reaching out to somebody that she listens to on TikTok or something, like she thinks it's crazy.
Yeah.
But like it kind of forces you to do that. And when you do have people that you can reach out to and you have this community, it's kind of a rising tide raises all ships.
For
And
sure, absolutely, and it's so much fun. I mean, you're always gonna have bad eggs, like, everywhere you go, right? And, like, there's gonna be people that fight with everyone or just super negative or, like, whatever, but, like, there's also so many awesome people, especially in the card hobby, which just makes it so much fun. And honestly, like, I love it. I think I'll always be, like, a low-end person. Like, I don't know, like, selling $1,000 card, it doesn't do it for me. Like, I feel like that's, like, a different type of person, different type of persona. Like, I wanna live, like, 20 and under, like, I like those people.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you and me both.
and, like, I think, like, risk-wise, it's pretty much no risk, like, it's kind of, like, recession-proof also. Like, someone's always gonna have a dollar to buy a card that they want, where someone might not always have $1,000 to buy, like, some Kaboom or Case Hit or something like that, right? Those type of collectors that collect low-end things or team collectors, like, I don't know, that's my tribe, those are my people.
Yeah, we just the episode that went up this week was with Dell Calvert, who has a bunch of systems for low end cards, and it's exactly what we said. It's recession proof. It's like it's something that you can continue to do without a lot of risk. Don't really extend yourself too much, and you can make money and you can have fun. And I think that that's an important piece. We end the show with just some kind of just quick hitters, kind of just general thoughts. What's current hobby trend that you're most excited about?
Oh man, that I'm most excited about? Honestly, the collector in me, I really enjoy like now I find so many more Stevie Johnsons on eBay, and I think it's because more and more people are using scanners to just list everything that they have, right? So where I think previously, like I had to buy most of my cards on COMC or COMC, what people call it, right? Because people would just take anything low end, just ship it off to them and not do it. But now I think that there's more and more people that are getting like the scanner process and stuff down. Like now, like every day almost, like I'll find something low numbered I don't have. And I'm like, well, thankfully now, more people are documenting these and putting these up for sale rather than just throwing them in a box and making it hard for me to get. So I think that one of those, that's probably the biggest trend I'm excited about.
Is there anything that worries you or that you're kind of avoiding in the hobby?
I play in that area, so, like, I'm not ever really $20 and over, unless it's for, like, things that I collect. I guess my biggest worry is Stevie Johnson gets reprinted in, like, a new Topps or Panini set because his print run will go from 1,300 to, 30,000 overnight, so I would be pretty upset by that. That's probably my biggest worry.
I can't stand it when they make new cards of old.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's an undervalued player or would be a good buy right now?
Geez, what sport?
Let's go football since we're in football season.
Okay, football.
Somebody that's selling really well for you.
Yeah, undervalued for football. Honestly, I mean, it used to be quarterbacks you could buy, like if they started out not hot, like their rookie year, like somebody like Jalen Hurts, right? Like people were high on him at first, and then like he didn't have the best rookie year, and people easily like fell off, and then his prices tanked. And I remember buying him a bunch at like going into his second year, it was second or third year, and then like now like he's way up, right? So I remember I had to play with him for a little bit. Honestly, it might be Stroud. If it's quarterback wise, it might be Stroud. I don't think Stroud's a good player, and I know people are like way off of his cards, because of hype and whatnot, and like they haven't been that great. But I think he's a good enough player where like now might be a good time to buy low.
I think all those young quarterbacks, I mean, Penix and Caleb, and they're all kind of really, really low right now.
Yeah. And I think it just comes in waves because people prospect and like that's where the money comes in, the prospecting. But at the end of the day, like you have to sell that card to like a collector or somebody, right? So like once those people start leaving because there's not as much hype, like that's why the prices tank. It's not necessarily on like performance, I feel like.
Yeah. So last question here is, we're at the 1,000 card project. We're sitting right now, I think at like, each card, we got 1,000 cards and each card is averaging about $6. What would be your advice to maybe take that to where each card was averaged to 10, because the thing is like you level up from the dollar box, but like then you get into that 5 to 20 range and it gets a little bit harder to buy, right?
Yeah, for sure. I would say try to do a deal with somebody where you're able to take like more than 10 cards from them. Right, because then you're gonna get that at a better price, and then like if it's online too, like you'll save on shipping and whatnot. So like your COGS should be lower if you're able to buy a little bit more in bulk.
Yeah, good. That's basically what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Man, I appreciate you being on the show and sharing and being open with, I think it's one of those things where like, I think anytime you're in this space, like there's a part of you that's like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. I'm going to keep that to myself and try to capitalize, but
yeah.
you don't do that. Like you share, I think pretty freely. It's one of the things that drew me to your content. And I think it goes back to that raising tide raises all ships. There's plenty of buyers out there. There's plenty of different types of cards and things like that. And the fact that you're so open and you're documenting that process and it's obviously coming from a pure standpoint is really cool, man. So thanks so much for doing this and for the way you're doing your business. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it, man.